good evening. I am here, yet again, for another stream. Tonight, we are finally going to finish the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Get that last chapter done, the last 2 escapades, and if there's time, I might do something else. Bud Light really wanted you to buy a computer. Yeah, that's why I wait a minute, so that those dumb Bud Light ads can finish, so, you know, Twitch can make their, you know, a couple cents while I make my quarter of a cent. Anyway, hey, also welcome to the stream. Hey, Jess. So, what am I doing? So tonight we're gonna be doing this, maybe something else. Cool. Someone followed me. I wonder if they're legit or not. Probably not, no. It does not look like a legit account. So yeah, speaking of legit accounts, hate raids. They're becoming a thing on Twitch lately. It really sucks. Twitch is doing terribly. They need to do better, and as a contracted person with them, I demand that they do better. So I'll be taking part in the Twitch Blackout on the 1st, which unfortunately also includes tomorrow night, because I stream from midnight to 3 a.m., so timeline-wise it kind of works out weird. So I'm going to be off for 2 days after this. I will be recording something offline and just uploading it to YouTube on Tuesday. And then Wednesday I'm going to do some voice acting stuff, because I have a couple auditions piled up. But I want to get the most out of this. This has got to get finished tonight. So I can move on to something else on Thursday. I'll be here this weekend, too. And I found out the anniversary stream for me is supposed to be next Monday. So I might do something Sunday for it instead. And I have an idea. Turns out that there's a couple games that I can play that won't be too long, so I could probably start one on Sunday. Maybe do some other stuff too, I don't know. Again, I don't really have time to plan out big stream anniversaries, especially since, you know, I'm not a big streamer or anything. No one really comes by during the anniversary stream, so it's no big deal. But we'll see. I might do something as tradition. Anyway, let's get this started, because I wanna finish this up. I don't know how much longer this game is. I think there's maybe like another hour or 2 of it. But yes, we have established that this chucklefuck right here was absolutely in the store the other night. He was shot, and most likely is the killer. There's very little that could not have him be the killer at this point. And don't worry, I'm not eating fish and chips tonight, so you won't be hearing me crunch and chew on stream. Like I was doing a while ago. Anyway. Hey, Celine, how you doing? Anyway, moment of shooting. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. When Windybank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. The accused in a black coat shot the man in back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood spatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. Why'd you pick the gun up? Good gracious, this is a quite extraordinary testimony. Doing good. Felt amazing when you recorded that video. What video? You claim, sir, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger. Order! Order! It wasn't my intention to testify in this way. But neither is my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. So you see, my hand has been forced. I tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation. Check my Discord. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't looked at Discord in like 3 days. It's just been on, because my computer's been on. I'll check it when I have the time. The truth? Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details. Yes, well, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And as I said, she was showered in his blood. You say the blood spattered across the accused's coat. Are you sure that it's on point? Are you sure on that point? Excuse me. Is Gregson the gumshoe of this one? Yes, Tobias Gregson. He is, a reference to, the Gregson from the Sherlock Holmes stories. As is, Lestrade is the name of someone from a Sherlock Holmes story as well. Oh yes, quite sure. All over the black overcoat, that pickpocket. Good evening. How you doing? Hey, Kinnis. I like the burb icon. All over the black overcoat that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time. Really? If her coat could somehow be shown to harbor vestiges of blood, that would be conclusive evidence here. Uh-oh. Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord. What? I love this British game, yes. Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. Lestrade was an inspector, probably from Scotland Yard. Yeah. Oh, so we're not going to trust Holmes. Sorry, Sholmes. But this magic German scientist we can trust. So here's to true science, and not some amateurist detective's dubious foray into the world of chemistry. There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound. Ideas are of no use to us here. In science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand. Can't drink during the trial, that's illegal. It's the 1890s, everything's legal. Except for what isn't legal. In Germany, the technique has already been employed in the courtroom as the basis of evidence. Hope the scientist's name isn't Von Karma. Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used. With your lordship's permission, we could shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes. Do you think the judge makes, Van Zieks clean up all of his broken glass off the floor? This doesn't look good, Runo. Hey, Em. Yeah, I'm live. No, I'm dead. I'm sorry, you're watching a pre-recorded stream. I'm actually not alive anymore. Why not? Well, we know, don't we, that there's blood all over the front of Ginny's coat. If they test it with their chemicals... Oh, help, you're right! I was forgetting about what happened yesterday. Don't move, Ginny. I'm going to shoot. Wait, why am I rereading old dialogue? Man served himself 56 BC wine, then wasted it. Yeah. Don't worry, he's got plenty of it. But that's not Mr. Windybank's blood. That stain is from 2 months ago. That's Mr. Mason's blood from when he was stabbed by McGilded, who was wearing the coat at the time. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution. Overruled. Lord Van Zieks, make it so at once. With pleasure, my lord. And while we await the results, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Alright. Once they find that blood in the overcoat, Gina will be... Counsel? Yes, my lord. Your cross-examination. Of course, my lord. If this cross-examination doesn't go well, if I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence or a really compelling clue now, I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. Oh no, I'm gonna have to do another summation examination. What have you missed? Nothing. You've literally missed like 2 minutes of dialogue. They're gonna use... You just saw it too. You just, they're gonna use a modern blood test that a German scientist just invented, apparently, to, see if there's blood in the coat.
Hold it!
Mr. Windybank emerged from the storeroom, I believe? Ringo and Nash were scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and flew at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. I've never been scared in all my life. Yeah, we're just your regular mild-mannered burglars. That's all. We don't like violence. Says the pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance to the shop? I was in the doorway, running my eyes from over the shelves of forfeited items. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1, so I assumed they could handle the situation. But I was wrong. I was trying to help me little bro. The old geezer chucked me over the bloomin' counter. So I pulled me gun on the old fella, and that soon made him scarper. The pair of you set upon a poor defenseless pawnbroker together. Shame on you! Sorry, Gov. When Windy Bank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm.
Hold it!
You mean that's the moment you were shot? Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. It was at exactly that moment that it happened, so I didn't hear that gunshot. And the bullet went on to strike the calendar on the wall behind you. So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. Did Mr. Windybank intend to shoot you, do you think? Well, no, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home. When I pulled my gun on him, he tried to shove me out of the way. And then he scampered through that door out back. At which point, what did you do? Peephole in the door.
Hold it!
Peephole. You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop. I don't know why I tripped over that line. And what about this peephole in the door that you mentioned? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom door is a solid job, made of stout wood. But there's a small opening about it that about head. Well, there's a small opening in it about Fuck. But there's a small opening in it about head height that lets you see what's in there from the outside. Yeah, stroke. Too much fish and chips. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. Whoa, that's an uncomfortable close-up. And what about you burgling brothers? Did you see what went on through this peephole as well? Not likely, Gov. Didn't see nothing of the sort, Gov. I doubt these 2 buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence. So the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Windybank to take place. Why does he have a skull? I don't know. Because they're the Skulkin brothers. Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there. The defendant? Yes, though neither of them noticed that I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man. And then, what did you see next? The accused in a black hole... Hole? The accused in a black coat shot the man in the back as if he was trying to flee to safety.
Hold it!
Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Windybank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you. Ah, but no, it wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Windybank's gun grazed my arm, and yes, the Skulkin's gun grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely, a third gun. The broker's gun was not the murder weapon, so clearly there had been a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at the time.
Objection!
But no other gun was found at the scene. Calm yourself, counsel. Sorry? You must consider the events in order. At first I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, but then, all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment... Ooh, haha! That little gutter rat shot him in the back. A chilling image, I must say. I saw the blood spatter all over that wretched girl. There was no blood on her.
Hold it!
All over her. Yes, through the peephole I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains are invisible now, what with the coat being in such a dark color. But I assure you, that garment is still sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it is sullied with blood, but that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Windybank's blood, is it? No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood, when McGill had stabbed him 2 months ago. It's so annoying. If they'd only accept Hurley's chemical analysis, we could prove that. I was shot. Proceeds to schmoove while explaining, yeah, well, his arm is bleeding. Actively. Right now. But they won't, so unfortunately we can't use it as evidence to support our case. Bother. See, he's got a big blood stain on his... Like I said this yesterday, you would think he would wear a coat that would hide the bloodstain color. Much like the coat that he's talking about on the defendant. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. Why would she do that, though? Did I hear you correctly? She drew the gun out of the room? That's right. After the broker fell to the floor, she started walking over. Over to where, exactly? In the direction of the storeroom door, to where I was watching. Again, where was he hit? Where he was hit, there was an artery. If he was grazed, not necessarily. I mean, for all we know, he could have just been skin wound, flesh wound, flesh. It's still weird to me that the flesh is considered an organ. It's like, oh. Also a weird thing to call your body. Flesh. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then... the girl dropped the gun through the peephole onto the floor on my side of the door. But why on earth would she do such a thing? I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. Dude got shot 2 days ago in the arm is schmoovin'. I got AstraZeneca on Saturday and I could still barely use your leftover. I suppose I took it with me in case... Wait, what? I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there in case any more tragedies took place. So it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime. Based on how it hit the calendar, it had to pass through the arm. I guess, but I mean, what if it passed through... I don't know. Maybe it didn't hit an artery, don't worry. Yes, it was yours truly. I left to clear up to my lackeys and left. Clear up? We made a bit of a mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Flute here told us to tidy up. It thinks it's our bloomin' mum sometimes. Well, I was paying you enough, by God. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? You're like a bull at a gate, aren't you? What was that noise? What the fuck? Why are they fighting? I'm gonna redo that just to hear that noise went in. Bullet went and did a U-turn left through the entry hole and hit the counter. But I admit to nothing of the sort. After all, you can't even show the court such a disc exists, can you? As expected, he won't admit to anything unless I could thrust the evidence in his face. Ooh, Kenneth, I love those icons. I only have one burb, and it's me. No, don't post it twice. There we go. Sex Pistol 2. This is still going on over there, apparently. Why is that happening? It's not as easy as you thought, is it, to pin a crime on this lapel? Haha, it won't stick. Not a murder, not treason. Thank you for crushing me, Ham. Thank you. Maybe not right now, but you won't be sniggering like that forever. Good lord, I don't like that word. What's your feeling, Runo? As much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in his testimony at the moment. But you have to find a way to break this man. And quickly, too, because once they discover the blood on the overcoat Gina was wearing... It's a bit strange that he's so sure of himself about seeing the blood spatter over Ginny's coat. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing you'd claim if you hadn't genuinely seen it happen. But we know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank, so what's going on? All I know is that it's very unfair. Why should some German scientist's test be acceptable as evidence when mine and Hurley's isn't? Detectives can use test tubes too. Never mind that, I have to find a really stark inconsistency in this testimony somewhere. And I have to find it before the prosecution discovers the bloodstain on Gina's coat. Alright, I want to hear what that sound was again. Like, what was the exact noise that they were making? Wow, this is a very long, press. What the fuck? Okay, I don't know what happened there.
Excuse me.
Gentlemen. Something wrong, Sunshine? Little toe rag, yeah. That should be my line. Do you realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin? Blimey, this D's a bit of an hooligan, ain't he? What was going on just now? You saw him, he grabbed me whistle. Why the blazes, he said, didn't you mention the third gun when you got down to the station? And why didn't you? 'Cause we didn't know nothing about it. Or that flaming peephole in the door. Dude doing Dio poses during trial and he ain't the bad guy. Yeah, exactly. I was saying that when he first showed up, I'm like, oh god, he's JoJo posing. Sorry about that. I can be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you? Oh, blimey, you see the way he's looking at me? I'm telling you, this D gives me the willies. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone. No, that wasn't like Gregsy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. My lord! Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Explain yourself, officer. Dix, I have the result of the test that was ordered earlier, my lord. Ah, the blood on the accused's overcoat. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? No, my lord. Meanwhile, he's just like, fuck! Fuck, 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 fuck! Well, there you have it. The report, please, Inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear they were the result of the spattering following a gunshot wound. End of report. Goodness me! See? What did I tell you?
Objection!
No, the blood in that coat is not Mr. Windybank's. What on earth makes you say that, counsel? The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windybank's, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood in that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case.
Objection!
Well, the dead cannot speak. Isn't that right, my Nipponese friend? Sorry? 2 months ago, in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for McGilded's innocence. And yet now that man is dead, you brand him as a murderer? Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country. Ah, but that was... I call it a bally disgrace, treachery, that's what it is. How to determine whether the blood in that coat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't answer the question to make that... even the stereoscope couldn't help the answer to that problem pop out. It can't be done. But... we use Mr. Sholmes' specially formulated chemicals. Mr. Sholmes is a detective, not a chemist. I don't know why that voice changed. Would you put such faith in a chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer? I held out Perozzi to starving boy, and he ran away crying. Yeah, that sounds fine. Crying. Herlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all. How could you say that? Victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish. How did you arrive at such a conclusion, sir? As the witness said, the accused's coat was spattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid, and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth. Gah! Juror 5 looks like MGS3's boss. Yeah, a little bit. Very thin-faced boss. Look, he's still JoJo posing. My lord! Been a long battle, this one, but this old warhorse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman? As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Ready, men? All for one now. God damn it. Sir!
Guilty.
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 Did the doctor just die? Like, his head, like, moves forward. Oh, because he doesn't want to make his hands unsterilized, I guess. Because he has gloves on. Well, it would appear the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached a unanimous verdict yet again. Is this like the third time this trial? Jesus. Van Zeke's just like, alright, do your bullshit. The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony. Here's to any attempt you may make at unpicking the juror's decision being equally successful. I don't believe it after I've come so far. How's it unraveling on me so fast? How very distressing. To be held in such low esteem. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Officer? You've delivered the report now. That will be all, thank you. It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruhodo, that scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind. I know that voice. Am I going mad? Ah! I had a feeling. Mr. Sholmes? What is the meaning of this? I had a... Yeah, I knew it was him with the question marks, but when it went to the Bobby, I was like, oh, fuck. He's the officer, isn't he? Order, order, order! What business do you have here, detective? The last I heard, you were recuperating in hospital. As well I would be, had I not set upon an errand. What errand? Hurley, it's really you! You're awake at last. Yes, good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. We knew he was okay, though. Now, my lord, if you will humor me. In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to give to the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us the time? What say you to this, Lord Van Zeeks? This trial has taken many hours of the court's time. Having spent so long already... Exactly, having spent so long already, why don't we go... We don't want to go wasting any more precious time. As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes. Man, Gregson really does not want us solving this case. Very well then, counsel, you have 5 minutes. My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival. Mr. Sholmes, are you alright now? Alright, I'm all wrong. Sorry? I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me, I should pass out. Let's make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots. None of them can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is. Ah, well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by the scientific community, an oversight on my part. Right. Modesty? Surely not. But enough of that. Dude has about as much trouble standing still as Joseph Joestar. Yeah. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow. What's that? A lavender furoshiki wrapping? A leaving present from Miss Sato. From Mrs. Sato? If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do this for her... excuse me. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. Iris is reminding you of La Brava. Oh yeah, kinda. Herlock is kind of, like the gentleman thief. Gentle... What was his name? His name was just Gentle, right? That was just the guy, the older, male guy. I don't understand. That reminds me, I didn't watch Toonami this week. I have to catch up on, My Hero. Mrs. Sato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhand. And that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you are wont to do, would find yourself in a considerable peril. At that very moment of crisis, you were being to be given this small parcel. Those were dear lady's instructions. A leaving present from Sasato-san. Whatever could it be? I like caught up in the backlog of Tuca and Birdie, looking forward to Season 3. Yes! I love Tuca and Birdie Season 2 was really good. I wasn't a huge fan... Wait, that's a cat door maker. I wasn't a huge fan of the relationship arc in that season, but it was realistic. The thing I like about Tuca and Birdie is that even though things kind of end on sad notes, both seasons both end on like a positive kind of... a positive vibe, even though they both kind of have like bittersweet aspects to them. Unlike BoJack Horseman, where it's more like everything is just bittersweet and there's like a tinge of hopefulness at the end. Also want that bear lady to be devoured. Bear lady? The one who's in charge of the moss? He gave me the Gmod tool gun. This is something that came up at the beginning of the last case, I think. No, the beginning of this case. It makes cat doors. Oh! It's the machine I made. Ah. Yeah, it makes cat doors. Nia, ow. What is that? I call it the cat flapomat. That was it. What's Susie up to? Mr. Sato muttered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant. What? Didn't she say something like that? Oh yeah, that's what she said before she left. She says she's a failure. Yeah, sorry to say, I'm a complete failure. Whatever did she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes? That night, when you left Windy Banks in pursuit of the thieves, Mrs. Sato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. That is your answer, dear fellow. Not at all cryptic, then. Sato-san used this cat flap-o-mat that night? But why? A compact machine for rapid creation of small flaps and larger doors to allow cats to come and go freely. Trust me, Ham is just... There's another person that comes to these streams lately. Their name is Sour Cream, and they constantly made such jokes about Sasato's name. Your 5 minutes is over. We're out of time already? And then Mr. Sholmes just drops dead right there. I'm grateful to you for affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan? The rest is down to me. I need to be careful here. If I make a wrong move, the trial will end badly. My lord, the defense requests... I mean, I guess a summation examination is what we need. This is definitely not a lost scenario here. Now it's come to this. My only chance is to appeal to the jurors and try to change their minds. What do you think you're doing, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? What of Mrs. Sato's gracious gesture? Would you let this final piece of evidence she left you go to waste? Final piece of... This is not a time for inaction. This is a time to hear from a witness. But it's not possible for me to bring a new witness to stand at this point. I don't think that's what Hurley means, Bruno. Have you forgotten where we are in the trial? Aha! If the defense has nothing more to add, I think we should proceed to the adjudication. Adjudication? I keep messing that word up every time it comes up. Wait, my lord, the defense requests further cross-examination.
Objection!
The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now.
Objection!
The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness, rather to continue with the one of an existing witness. What? It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. Ah. Interesting. So even though the jurors have spoken, we are still technically in the middle of a cross-examination. So nobody could say anything then. If Bruno asks to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon, the court is obliged to allow it. I never said that. This is absurd. This scene has me wanting some pancakes for some reason. I would remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness' testimony, and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it. A single chance to present evidence? If, following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witness any further. My lord? Yes, my lord. I had IHOP for breakfast 2 days ago, and, I gotta say, every time I order from IHOP, it's never that good. When I order their specialty pancakes, there's not enough specialty on the pancakes to make it worth getting 3-4 pancakes from them. Like, I order like the cheesecake pancakes, and it'll be like, okay, here's enough cheesecake filling and strawberries for two cakes, and here's here's another 2 that you're going to be too full to eat afterwards. But then whenever I order something that's not pancakes from them, it's never good. It's always like lackluster at best. I need to try something different next time I order from them, but I only usually order it when I go down to my girlfriend's place anyway. That said, after the fish and chip stuff from the last couple days, I will definitely be ordering from the Chippery more, because that place is A+. A single statement and a single piece of evidence. My lord proceeds to pull out a whole bottle to throw again, yeah. Most generous. Chicken fried steak or meatloaf. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. I leave this in your capable hands. Like, they don't even give him a different falling animation, they just give him the flailing one. Mr. Sholbs! Arrivederci, yeah. He's fine. He's just being a baby. To stand so what the fuck is this word? I don't even know. I've never even seen that word before. To stand so insouciantly before the court in a state of such high fever. Either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling. Insouciantly. I imagine he's fearing very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel, are you prepared? Are you fully prepared, rather? Yes. One statement. One piece of evidence. Adjective showing a casual lack of concern, indifferent. Say for sure. Why is my brother playing a video game at 1 in the morning? The hell? What the fuck? He should be, like, fast asleep by now. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down. Or Iris. Ow. And I won't waste this final chance that Susato-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of this trial. Why are you playing a video game at 1 in the morning? He'd ask the same thing. Well, he works. He stops working at like 8 or 9 at night. He's usually asleep by like 1 a.m. at the latest. Very well then, under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. So no pressing, 1%, 1 statement. I found out, so they announced today Mr. Driller Drillland is coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. So, if you still don't have it somehow on the Switch or on PC, now's your chance to pick it up. Well, in November. And also they only announced it for Japan right now, but hopefully it gets an international release. Apparently the PlayStation and Xbox versions will have online for the multiplayer mode, which, while the multiplayer mode in Drillland isn't that amazing, I do wish that was an option in the Switch version. So what happens if I, press him?
Hold it!
Mr. Graydon, I take issue with your... No, my learned friend. I take issue with you. Oops. His lordship made it very clear that the defense is permitted to present only a single piece of evidence. The prosecution demands stern punishment for any mischief used to make more of this cross-examination. Indeed, just desserts, counsel. Just desserts. Okay, so anything wrong is gonna just screw me. My salt, vinegar, almonds taste like cinnamon. Weird. Ugh, you do that mischief in your face, Runo. Ugh. He threw those just desserts in my face twice. Alright, I can only present one single piece of evidence. I need to think about this carefully. His lordship is only going to allow me to present... Yeah, we just said that. But it's clear what piece of evidence should be. How in the world did Susie manage to sneak off with this without me noticing? And she used it in the pawnbrokery? Yes, at least that's what Mr. Sholmes said. I was only gone from the place for about 5 minutes when I went after the Skulkin brothers. What possible reason could Sasato-san have had to use Iris's contraption in that time? Could it be that she did what she did with the cat Flapomat completely changes one of the key premises of this testimony is based on? Wait, he misspelled desert? He misspelled desserts? Yeah, he did. That's a misspelling. They spelled no, they spelled it wrong everywhere. Just deserts. That's weird. The judge, it was spelled wrong for the judge too. Just deserts. If I present the wrong evidence, does the same thing happen or just like an instant end? There's clearly something odd about the... Oh, no. It's literally just... Okay. Alright. I was just fucking around. I'm finding out. Still near the entrance to the shop. When Windy banged through Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole on the door, though. That sounds like the statement I'm supposed to use it on. The accused in a black coat shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood spatter all over that wretched girl. Then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. So it's either the sixth statement or it's this one. I mean, there's only one piece of evidence we're presenting, so... Compact machine for the rapid creation of small flaps and larger doors to allow cats to come and go freely. Wait, maybe there's something I'm missing in the evidence itself. Whew, those vicious teeth look like they could rip through almost anything. They're good, aren't they? They're made of a special alloy I developed just for this job. The cutter rotates 10 times per second, so it can get through any kind of door in no time at all. And what are the two parts at the top there? Ah, those are for attaching hinges to the section of the door that gets cut out. Right, of course. Nothing can match this machine for power. It can make mincemeat of even the toughest of doors. It sounds so charming and friendly when you say what it's for, but... It feels like the reality of the cat Flapomat is that it's a grim weapon of door destruction. Wagahai's so adorable, so there's nothing I wouldn't do for him, even developing deadly weapons. There's like nothing else we can observe here. How big was the peephole? Well, no, the peephole... That's a peephole. The peephole... She really is a psycho. The peephole... You see on the door... Okay, I'm gonna zoom in here. Hold on. Actually, wait, I have a magnifying glass. It's up here. See, there's like a door on there. You lift it up and look through it. So you can see the hinge right there. So where did... Wait a minute. Oh! I get it. Yeah, she really is a psycho. Yeah, she's a child genius. What do you expect? I thought Sasato had used it on the door somewhere else. That peephole was only there once Sasato used it on the door, meaning that was not there before. That peephole was only made after Graydon already escaped.
Objection!
What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Counsel? Oh, it's my cat Flapomat. It's my cat Flapomat, my lord. It makes way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we could all work that out for ourselves. Smart burb. Yep. Ah! But a cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I failed to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. I beg your pardon? A peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windybank had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? Yes, how could you? What? Counsel, kindly say what you mean. Alright, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such as time she did, the door had no hole in it to look through. What? No!
Objection!
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place, by my judicial assistant, using this device. Your assistant tampered with the crime scene whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions. This is a most serious act of vandalism, for which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes I had left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Holes, my lord. Riddled with... Explain yourself, counsel. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the men in the back. However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Order, order, order! Is there any credence to this revelation?
Objection!
None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Riddled with holes. Ah, guy was shot. I getting killed. Mr. I get it. Exactly. This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second. Haha, I had a feeling you'd say that. What? Waggy, Cooey, time for dinner. Did she bring... Wait, Cooey? What? Oh, that's just a name. Meow. Well. Ah. Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling at the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that peephole in the storeroom door at Windybank's was made by your machine. And there's no way you could prove that it was. No, but it's easy. What? The cat flaps my cat flapomat creates are all fixed of a fixed size, and the dimensions of the peephole at Windy Banks are an exact match. Hehe, old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. And now it's my learned student's friend to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Well, yes, that's true. Oh, these games are a really serious murder testimonies ruined by some convenient gizmo gadget out of Inspector Gadget. Yeah, exactly. Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the peephole has dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. Red-handed recorders, yeah. What is the purpose of this line of inquiry, Lord Van Zeeks? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device, but now that the perpetrators returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. What? It's not like we don't have photos. Yeah, it's not exactly. It's not like we don't have photos of every half hour from midnight the previous night till then. Indeed, that is so, Lord Van Zeeks. Well, counsel, don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. I don't know if I could do this, but I do know one thing. Sasato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Very well. The counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the peephole in the door of Mr. Windybank's storeroom was created after the event and not before. Not there. And that was only 1 a.m. 1:30 a.m. And there it is. Perfect. Beautiful.
Take that!
What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again? My judicial assistant, Mrs. Sato Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel. This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun. It also shows the accused mercilessly wielded a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But, more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. I don't believe it! This really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description. Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done. Because of the time it happened... Oh, man, excuse me. Like a whole bunch of mucus just came up all at once. Ugh. Because of the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. In other words, your testimony is a catalog of lies. Like how everyone else disappeared while he was doing that. Order! Order! I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. Catalog, ha! The witness's testimony was entirely fallacious. Fallacious. He blew him. He blew the defendant. No, I mean he blew the... Oh god, he blew the accused. No! That's the same person. He blew the victim. Okay. No, Jean is underage. Oh god. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. Fuck. I was making a joke because of the word fellatio. Sorry. It's not the only thing we know now beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant Its guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with the crime scene. But more importantly... Good lord, there's more Lord Van Zeeks? The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Yes, that's right. What? Oh, I was there at the scene. It's true. And I was shot in the arm, it's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, please. No! I don't believe this, but they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he's the culprit. Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Iris? You know what they say. There's no point locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted. Isn't that right, Runo? As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait. That might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there's a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What?
Objection!
This is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. Iris was white. Iris was right. Not white. She is white, but she was also right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed in the lies of the witnesses' statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about. Namely, the third gun, the peephole, the bloodstains on the coat. The bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestrade's coat. That's right, the victim's blood spattered all over her when she shot him. But how could you possibly have known that? Obviously because I saw her do it through the peephole in the... The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously, Has the cat got your tongue, witness? The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred, and once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the two burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windy Banks constantly, carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of pawned articles, and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave the order to have the officers working around the clock in shifts so we get through it all. And consequently, there was no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
Objection!
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door. How on earth is that possible? Could I have a word, please, your Lord Van Zeeks? Speak, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, if it's all the same to you. Van Zeek's trying to save his own ass? Nah, I don't think so. Van Zeeks, I think, is more than interested in finding the truth. He's not interested in crushing the defense. He only wants the defense to fail because he earnestly believes that the woman is guilty. Permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes. Of course, sir. Mr. Graydon. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean... I feel like he's a bigger villain in all this. Who? Van Zieks, Gregson, or Graydon? That you must have been informed about it by someone else. Ugh.
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. Van Zieks? No, I don't think Van Zieks is a villain at all. You realize I trust that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications. Yes, but the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And, in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who was the person in question, counsel? Who gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony?
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Me?
Objection!
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learnt of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparations for his testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea. No inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such a time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he seemed to realize his position. That he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information? So that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin. Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson. This is a bloomin' outrage. Why would I be giving away details of our investigations to this fellow, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chamber during the recess in any case. Had you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Which means... the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed, following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred. That's not true. We caught them talking to each other yesterday. Oh, I've just remembered something, Bruno. What is it, Iris? There was one time before, wasn't there? Now that I look at him, Van Zieks is either a Castlevania character or a Soul Calibur character. Well, he throws his glass, so he's Dracula. I think it was when Ginny was testifying. Have we met anyone analogous to Gant in this game? Yes, we have, actually. Lord Mail Strongheart, 52. He's the Lord Chief Justice, and he lives in a giant clock. I think it's implied he lives in Big Ben, or his office is in Big Ben, but I also don't know if that's true or not. He's the Chief Justice, essentially. But I've been given no reason to believe that he's a bad person. At least not yet. I don't know if that'll change later, but given what's going on right now and the fact that I wouldn't think that Gregson would actually do shitty things, this could easily turn on its head. It was when Ginny was testifying. Oh yes, now that you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilded's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it! It was during that testimony. I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then. You little toe rag, you're making all this up! Oh yeah, toe rag, there it is. No, Big Ben is just the bell of Elizabeth's Tower's clock, right? No, I didn't. I don't know London. I've barely ever been out of New Jersey. I don't even know where Jersey is. Regular Jersey. The old one. Why did I just accidentally open Audacity? Stupid me. Don't do that. No, go away. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. That ruined something. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke? Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense. What deal, Counsel? I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the peephole at the crime scene. Clock Tower was renamed to Elizabeth Tower in 2012 because of the Diamond Jubilee. Ah. Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance. There we go. I said it. Well, will I?
Objection!
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations in this is this Nipponese student's specialty. I don't do that. With the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Evidence? Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. Shut up, Van Ziek. You murdered 12 people in this trial. That must be it! Bruno, do you think it could be? Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. I must press you for an answer now, Counsel. What evidence explains the nature of this alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with the witness?
Take that!
Inspector Gregson. Besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case? What? What are you getting at now, Sunshine? Is it possible that this other top-secret case is what's alluded to in the newspaper article? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice? How in the bleeding Nora could you? We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windy Banks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. Yeah, very expensive, Douglas. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon, in which you exchanged the disc for details of the case. You little... Ah! Order! 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 On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windy Banks, you said this. Good time for me to take a sip here. Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the Ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Mina, Metal Slug character. No, Gina. She does look like the Metal Slug character, though, you're right. She looks like the woman from that series. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness? To aid and abet this man in giving false testimony? There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these two men.
Objection!
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that? Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What? What's that supposed to mean, eh? As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly would not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious, then you mean to say... Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession. He has the second disc actually on his person?
Yes!
The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once. Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before. And Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector... This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. Why? It was Van Zeeks that suggested it. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts of my involvement, then I'll happily submit to a body search. What? He's going to agree to it? I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you were severely reprimanded. That sounds serious. Indeed, to have a visiting student make such a defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook. Van Zeeks is the one who suggested it's on him. Yeah, I know. What the fuck? Why is Ryunosuke getting all the shit here? You're just threatening Runo because you're scared. The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. But you made the accusation, you dick. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. Very well, counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord? Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects? Search someone else. Withdraw the request. Oh, come on. Yes, the defense formally demands the search to be conducted. Well, don't say you weren't warned. But your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough, I've got nothing to hide. Very well, then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's personal effects, please. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you'd wanted to search me. Yeah, Grayson. I made that mistake yesterday. I called... Because there's Gregson and Graydon on the stand right now. Yeah, Graydon, Gregson. So it's like Grayson. No, Inspector. Not you. Somebody else, and I know exactly who it is. What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, sunshine? Court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational. No, it's not Graydon. Be quiet, all of you. Oh, it was Iris. Rudo's doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way. Oh, fuck, can't argue with that. Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction, and eagerly awaits his next words. What? And don't be hasty, my lord. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has that disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be. Counsel, of whom do you request this search now?
Take that!
Of, my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Because Gregson was literally shaking him down earlier, and he probably slipped the disc in his pocket. Well, I never. Blimey! Me? Him? Very well then. Bailiff, restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects.
Hold it!
Please, my lord. Inspector? Scotland Yard, has to object to the search.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here. In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object. But, Lord Van Zeeks, I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Bailiff, carry out the search. Now, hold on, Mo. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Cut it out! Ah! Here, my lord, in the witness's pocket. I found this. Good lord, that's another music box disc. I don't know nothing about it. Nothing. That is the second music box disc, left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson? Order! 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 Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself? Gordon Bennett! I mean, just Gordon Flamin' Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc. Honest to God. Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no? Without question, my lord. Then, for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. I don't recall. What unusual behavior? It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon. Okay, yeah, we knew this, alright. Yeah, the second disc. That's when, yeah, he called him a toe rag. When Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently. Honest to God, ESRB, like, finally we could put religious themes on the back. Is religious themes written on this? I wouldn't be surprised. Hold on, I have the physical edition. Nope. Rated T for blood and violence only. No mention of religious themes on it. That's very interesting, actually, because religion does come up in this game quite a bit, actually. Yeah, he did it and all. Though my noggin was gonna fall off clean off. I did. I was wishing I'd been born as me brother, I was. And what exactly happened to make that detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me, whistled like that, and started shaking me. Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down by the station? That's what he said. I yelled it right down my ear hole, he did. My head's still throbbing now. The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Oh, bless my wig, he hid it? You... I'm afraid I failed to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, this current assignment has some special conditions. Hush, hush, a top-secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if the information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness. Ah, does this mean... He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him to slip the second disc into his pocket. So it was all a pretense. Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit the accusation made against you of this alleged deal? Admit to it, yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon. Clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector.
Objection!
We saw you do it. But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony. That I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with the detective. All of it is this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of this is about. You... What?! And Zeeks is like, man, this is bullshit and I know it, but I'm still gonna antagonize him. Also realized that this thing and his fish and chips are in one of those crinkly white cups from the boardwalk. No, it's a newspaper. It's straight up a newspaper. Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice. So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions. This is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in conducting of a trial. Yeah, they don't wrap them in newsprint anymore. It's accurate for the time being. See, I can't imagine eating something off newspaper. Newsprint is so... like, weird. The ink would just rub off on the food. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well now, as a fellow servant of the Queen and country, must I say I sympathize with the old inspector. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Where would her accent go? Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me. Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really. Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idol. Stop. Detective is very much trust in his eyes. More than this, I cannot say. I I don't believe it. These 6 jurors are... They're going to believe Gregson. If they declare the decision now... Is Ginny going to be found guilty? If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then we're going to lose. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windybank or stole those government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness. Well done, counsel. I think it's time I impose on the jurors to declare their final decisions, no? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court. Now that last juror's rat. The rat's probably trained to kill. Sorry, had to mute myself for a split second there. If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina will be found guilty. She'll be found guilty gear, and then have to fight, what's his name, Gold Lewis? Who will, zap her with his eyeball laser. So there's no choice then, Runo. You have to throw some more evidence at them. This is it. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson or Graydon? Oh, no. I have to choose the right person, and I have to present something to him. This is gonna be rough. Might be time to look through this. What evidence? Oh my god, it could be anything. The music box, the bullet, Holmes's pouch. Bet there's a right answer for both. I don't know. This might be a one-and-done deal here. Stereoscope. Post-shooting photograph. There's too much here. There's just too much for me to think about. Would there be blood in the second disc? Probably not. The only reason there's blood in the first disc is because, Graydon cut his finger when Gina was trying to, wrest it out of his, coat pocket. Wow, that's a lot sharper when you look at it from that angle. Those spikes. Graydon said he hurt his arm. Yeah, he did. Well, no, that's not... This happened at a different time. The blood on this appeared, well after... Or well before he got shot. It's not from the gunshot. The gunshot is, here. And it's also on the music box. Like, that's how we knew it was him. Did we ever figure out whose blood this was? Oh wait, no, it's Mason's blood, I believe. Yeah, whoops. I don't know what I could possibly present to prove my case. This has not come up at all yet, and I don't think it ever will. This has nothing to do with... It's weird, because this chapter is named The Hound of the Baskervilles, but this has not come up even once this entire case. Inspector Gregson. I feel like Gregson's the one you have to present to. There's one final evidence I would like you to see. What's that then? If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly. Well, go on. This is my last chance. It looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. One final piece of evidence to get this detective to admit the deal he clearly struck with Graydon. Oh my god, you get no hint whatsoever, huh? I've got no freaking clue. Nothing new here, right? Maybe the music box for the other disc? We don't have the other disc in our possession, though. And this movement is like the other one. Holmes' teeth are all the same length. So this movement also only produces a single tone like the other one? Yes, it must do. Except the length of the teeth in the two Combs is the same. So the single tone produced by this movement will be different to the single tone we've already heard. What? Basically, each movement can only produce a single note. But the notes they produce are different. The music box can only play 2 tones.
Take that!
Could it be the music box? It is! Is that Mr. McGilder's peculiar music box, Counsel? Yes, with a disc already in place, ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we've just discovered set in place as well. Goodness, this disc, Counsel... No, wait, I can't let you do that! Why not? Because, well... Because it's got nothing to do with this case, that's why.
Objection!
Not true, Inspector. The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the court earlier from this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that Morse code comprises of 2 distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message. Now we have a chance to confirm that theory. For crying out loud, Sunshine, we're talking about state secrets here. If you go letting the whole courtroom hear confidential information like that, it's treason! Then do you admit the charge? That in order to protect the state secrets, you engage in unlawful dealings with the witness. Sounds like Soul Calibur music. You didn't mention that sounds like Soul Calibur music. You said that, Van Zeeks looks like a Soul Calibur character. I love this song. This is the corner theme. This is only like the 3rd or 4th time that this has played the entire game. You're mad! If you let that secret information out into the public domain, you'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot!
Objection!
Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness. That you continue to lie to the court, and all because by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine. Don't you dare! I will stop at nothing to protect my client. I don't care who I make an enemy of. My lord, if you please, the court must hear the sounds made by that music box. Come on, Van Zeeks, for Pete's sake, stop him!
Objection!
There we go, the rare foot slam. Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I'm a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. In this courtroom, my duty is to the law, so let me propose a toast. To uncovering the truth, by fair means or foul. No! Leg. Very well, the defense's stance here and that of the prosecution has been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will now listen to this music as this music box is set in operation once more. This time with the second disc in place and both discs playing simultaneously. Oh, listen to that. It's unmistakable now. It's Morse code. Alright, I admit it. Whatever you want. But for the love of God, shut the bloomin' box up! Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you or did you not strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon? Specifically, did you furnish the witness with confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the peephole in the pawnbroker's storeroom door, Inspector? I did. Stop! What are you doing, man? It's all exactly like the young Eastern lawyer says. When the trial resumed after the recess and we were stood here in the stand together, that's when he approached me with the deal. Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up! Psst, you there. You're the detective who turned up at the pawnbrokery the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. Or information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed. I couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances. So I accepted the man's proposal and told him the details of the case he should have put him in the clear. The peephole in the storeroom door and the bloodstains on the overcoat. By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury. I did. But then it turned out the peephole had only been made that night after the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest. Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction of a very serious crime. Namely this. You are the third intruder who broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Windybank. You... Traitor! Oh, shit. Bailiff, restrain that man! At once! That's it, then. It's all over. Nope. Or yes. I despised my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying, to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole. And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination. But then you decided to try to sell government secrets? Why? Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Then one day I met him. Mr. Magnus McGilded. You're a fiend with queer talent, so you are. I have money to throw your way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me little plan now. Irish Danny DeVito. I was to steal the Ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilded would buy them for a handsome sum. As I was responsible for inspections of the Ministry's communications office, it was a simple enough task. The lure of the devil's offerings, how easy it is to succumb. But you must have surely realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing. And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable. By using the music box. My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child. Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton. That's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He'd once been a music box maker's apprentice, but I imagine his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that could generate Morse code. So I sought out my father again to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I left the slums 10 years earlier. Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you've become, eh? He was a different man to the one in my memory. A thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason. So I made up a story. I've got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made. Music box discs, eh? A musician friend of mine has written some music he wants to sell to the public. I've brought the score with me. There are 2, actually. I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft. That's how I had to make 2 of the discs. Thereby splitting the information in 2. We were taking considerable precautions indeed. It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in 2 separate transactions. The first involved the first of the 2 discs in the music box for playing them. I exchanged them with McGilded for 10 guineas. Then on receipt for the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas. So, what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of a deal? The exchange of a second disc? Yes. I had sold the man information that way a number of times already, but it seemed he became reluctant to part with his money. But that doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Graydon, for why was it on the omnibus 2 months ago? Your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with McGilded and not yourself. When I received 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with McGilded, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. But my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious, and when he did, he said to me, "Next time there's an exchange, you'll let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore." That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded. That's it. He had no idea what was actually on the discs I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. It was only then that I found out what sort of monster McGilded really was. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore on my father's name. To exact revenge. Revenge? As anyone with even the remotest of knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilded brought all of his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and witnesses were bribed. The trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish. My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of the sinister background to it all. Van Zeeks can get it, yeah, he can get it. I'd made plenty of money out of my dealings with the Gilded by then, so I spared nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago. Spared no expense. I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in the city willing to do anything you ask. McGilded himself had shown me that. Are you saying that? I think you have the picture now. After he twisted everything to his favor in that courtroom to ensure he walked free. I took matters into my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. The tragic accident following the trial here 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly. McGilded's death that day was caused by this man? 8K burb seed? Yeah, but do you have infinite burb seed like I do? Would be nice if he didn't spend 900 to squish me. It's that policeman who came by to tell McGilded he could examine the omnibus again. That's right, an imposter, hired by me. McGilded used his wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in a paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and sent him on a one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death. A spine-chilling account indeed. But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end. Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGilded. Ah, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago. Clearly because it had been removed from the scene of the crime. When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with McGilded. This is the first of the 2 discs in the music box you need to play them. Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guinea for you, young man. Well, what's this? Windybank's pawnbrokery. Aye, 'tis a pawnbroker's ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem an article I've deposited there for you. There's no need to give a name. Just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend the watchword. I put a jewel in pawn for ye. It'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will. I've never heard of a pawnbroker being used in quite that way before. Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one is like an extremely secure vault. Very interesting to have a sympathetic villain as the final villain of a game. So I knew that if he'd taken steps to hide the disc, it would be in that pawnbrokery somewhere. And on that night, on the night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Yes, to Gina. I remember now. And when we first met you at Windybanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. How did you know who you were looking for? From the trial, that pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilded's pawns, that he must have threatened her somewhere. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket. So I started to make some inquiries. No, he's being very honest with what he's saying. I had a strong suspicion the girl would come out of the woodwork on the redemption deadline. And he was absolutely right. I mean, I don't feel bad about it. I don't really feel bad. He killed 2 people, one of who was extremely innocent. Oh, beforehand. Yeah, no. And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was wait until the girl went to Windybanks to redeem the articles. But unfortunately, she redeemed only McGilded's overcoat and the 1 disc that was in its pocket. The all-important music box with the 2nd disc inside was missing, because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion. But you had the music box. When you were in Windybanks, you could have seen it on the counter. Why would you have not noticed it? Meanwhile, as our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing, we picked up on the fact that McGilded was involved. Inspector, you recovered fast. My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible, so we started gathering the fellow's possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on at the yard, but we had to keep it as quiet as we could. It's funny how the whole Sholmes making a copy of the disc was completely pointless. Like, that never played out into anything. That copy never came up. Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the second disc were still there in the shop somehow. So I knew that it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers. What happened that night in the pawnbrokery? I can only describe it as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I located the music box I sold to McGilded on the shelves of forfeited articles. And the second disc was inside. Yes, I slipped it into my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened. What are you doing in my shop? That was not a good read. A gunshot rang out of the shop and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm. The broker fired his gun, and the bullet pierced your limb. Yes, exactly, but unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. Before I knew what was happening, I'd fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck him in the middle of his back as he fled through the storeroom door for refuge. A sorry, sorry tale. It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo even realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And that's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Windy Banks on that wretched night. I was gonna ruin the mood with the squeaker, but I figured no, let's hold back on that one. Earlier you called McGilded a monster, a man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crime of murder. What tragic irony, for what you have done is exactly the same. You've become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded. Yes, I think I have. Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon? He's been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Windybank and the stealing of government secrets. Very good. And you, Inspector, regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself. Yes, my lord, of course. It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable. Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Ah, yeah? It is time for the final adjudication. No, he doesn't get off scot-free. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Yes, sir. Garadev Squadron standing by, sir. This really is it now. This is really it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
That's the stuff. I'm off the hook. Finally, Bruno, you managed to do it. Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on top for a while there. Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world. Miss Lestrade, I am not finished with you yet. Eh? What are you looking at me like that for? Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider, Hey, Sour Cream. You missed it all. We finished the... We won. Final trial's over. Eh? 2 months ago in my courtroom, no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Windy Bank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGilder's property, it seems. Eh? I never done nothing of the sort. Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGilder's coat in your cell yesterday or anything. There was... Trust me when I say the breakdown was not the best part of this trial. There was some other good stuff happening. When I upload the VOD, you'll see it. The VOD should be up Wednesday morning. Or I guess Wednesday afternoon for you. No, evening. Sorry. My VODs go up 10 a.m. The day after I finish streaming. So it's going to be like 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Sorry. Or you can just watch the Twitch VOD when it's done. Of course, yeah. And just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Ginny this evening, turning our attention to the defense, determining that, when played together, the music box discs contain a message in Morse code was, well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, Counsel. You're calling me old chap? I'm fine. Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast to demanding that government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom. To demanding that government... Very sorry about that. The entire stream just made me download Ace Attorney Trilogy on your 3DS. Nice! Ace Attorney Trilogy is really fun. When the prosecutor is sus. Stop posting about Ace Attorney! That's how I feel about TalkDesk's ringtone. Ding ding ding, ding ding ding! It was the only way that I could get Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so... If I may say something on that point... Who said that? Isn't that... It's, about the sounds produced by this music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all. What? What are you saying, madam? Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much so that the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact. Goodness, madam. An unhealthy level of obsession, one feels. But I must say that, in my opinion, the sounds produced by those two discs... He was being a dick, though, because he was toasting the fact that Naruhodo was about to reveal government secrets to the entire public. Were nothing more than that. A meaningless series of two different tones. What? What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all? My lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again. Are you off your nut? How many times do I have to tell you? Those discs contain ministerial secrets, sunshine. I just said not a complete dick, as in he's a partial dick. This courtroom is not appropriate forum to discuss the nature of government communications. We know McGilder conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies. Secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue this matter further. Excuse me. But it's really going to bother me. Miss Lestrade? Yeah, me lord? That what you have seen today here in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing. Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury. A grim catalogue of depravity. An appalling experience to befall any child. Come on, it ain't nothing I don't see most days in the back slums. I beg your pardon? If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gina. But look, I reckon I've worked something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you want it to change, you've got to start at one. You got to start at what? Oh, you got to start at home. Gotta change how you are yourself. Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never gracing my courtroom with her presence again. Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Windybank, proprietor of a pawnbrokery business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade... Hell yeah, baby. That is all. Court is adjourned. Not guilty, but still British, Your Honor. How dare you be British? It's like the why are you white meme. Why are you British? Where do they get the confetti in the fire? Well, the confetti is part of Ace Attorney lore. Every game has that. As for the firework RPG, that's definitely something Iris made. On a personal note, I must say you surprised me, my Far Eastern friend. Oh. Despite being a Nipponese, you saw to the pretense of malice that festered within the Englishman. Yeah, imagine another fire going off because of that. And at the same time, saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English client? Oh my god. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures. I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether we're from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan, we're all human beings. We're not so very different on the inside. You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again here in the courtroom. You did? When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with another Nipponese, only to find my trust betrayed. Through you, I hope to look into the eyes of the man I once knew and try to understand. You mentioned something similar earlier today, about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly? Well, you may ask. And one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not. Is the British Ace Attorney going to teach us not to be British like a kid's show? You meant not be racist. Well, it's like it's like how Peppa Pig is teaching American kids to be British, apparently. Alright, then I'll wait for that day if I must. Alright then. Coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey in my retirement from service 5 years ago, it gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. Who's gonna clean all that up? So farewell, my learned Nipponese fellow, until we meet again. Don't do that sour cream. Please don't. It's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappeared to? Ah! When the Zapdos is sus. Yeah, who's gonna clip the 20 people he's murdered? Congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent. Well, you did what you said, Mr. Naruto. You believed in me, right up to the end. You're as odd as your name. What's odd about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I? No, your name. No one has ever before, see? Kept the promise, I mean. Properly. That's awful. I figured something out today. All me life growing up in the slums, I've never trusted no one. But that's just because I'm scared of being stabbed in the back. I mean, the more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down. Excuse me. Yes, I think I could understand that. After all, I had a taste of it in that trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust someone and paid for it. That betrayal left a big scar. You know, though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently, too. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. And when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do, and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me of that valuable lesson. Oh, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat lot of sense to me, though. I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure. For crying out loud, pack it in! But I suppose I sort of feel the same way. I mean, sometimes trusting someone else is, you know, alright. Thanks. This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. Well, 1 year and you're good, Naruto. After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean, Kazuma. Am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could be? Pardon the interruption. But what the deuce does a man have to be due to be noticed around here, my dear fellow? I like how the other guard turned to face him. Oh boy, sorry about that. Ah, that voice! It's too late for that voice now, Mr. Naruhodo. I've been standing here patiently in the corner of the room for an eternity. Haha, yes! It was me all along, I would have said when you finally noticed me. But you people with your incessant babbling! Ah, Mr. Sholmes! Haha, yes, it was me all along, you see? I'd assume you'd been taken back to the hospital, to be honest. Indeed I was, but I managed to escape again. Oh. I happen to be aware of 1 or 2 foibles of the doctor who was tending to me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with a leave of absence. How very above the board. Mr. Sholmes, oh no. But enough of my adventures. That was a fine victory, Mr. Naruhodo. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat to you. Oh, thank you. Some great detective you are. Great at being cold as ice, maybe. Mr. Hewowak, oh no, he needs his Flintstones vitamins. Have I irked you in some way, Miss Lestrade? Well, you've been having a snooze in your nice soft bed. Some of us been fighting for our lives. Ah, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, it's true. So I've indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps cold as ice, but, well, have a feel. Could you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Sholmes? And in some way, I suppose, congratulations are in order for you too, Miss Lestrade. What's that supposed to mean? Why so half-hearted? Well, naturally, it isn't my intention to alarm you, but an acquittal in a trial with that particular prosecutor is perhaps a little precarious. Well done, Mr. Sholmes, not alarming in the slightest. Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Because anyone who's found not guilty in a trial he was working on winds up dead anyway? I could make you a mod, but also, sour cream does not deserve a paddling. Don't paddle them. The very point I was trying to make. As exemplified by the fate of Mr. McGilded, in fact. Ah, but of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself. Yeah, sour cream's a gremlin. Yeah, well, it don't bother me. Oh, really? Of course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like the way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like him upstairs. Him upstairs? You mean, like, God? Yeah, him upstairs knows what's what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. It wouldn't have got the wrong end of the stick. I like E in its uppercase. There are some coves that there's some coves like that bog trotter would have rotten to the core. At the end of the day, I'm upstairs to make sure they get what they deserve. Oh my god, I can't read this tonight. I am already worn out. And I still have the last 2 escapades to go through too tonight. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. We don't feed sour cream past midnight, yeah. I eat sour cream after midnight, sometimes. I like eating creams and, like, spreads on their own. Sour cream and onion dip, hummus, regular sour cream, port wine cheese with cheddar. I'll just, like, scoop that shit up in a spoon and eat it. I'm really weird. Shredded cheese in the fridge at 5 a.m. 4 a.m. rather. What's my alignment? Neutral tired. Divine justice is one thing, though. The Reaper taking matters into his own hands and claiming lives is another. Well, I ain't like the McGildeds of this world, so I ain't scared. I got principles, see? A trait in which you see, trait in you which is to be admired, Miss Lestrade. Oh, just give it a rest, all right. As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal was very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina. Chaotic ties with the side of chaotic depressed. I'm chaotic stupid. Well, there you are, Hurley. How long have you been there? Honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there. Iris, my dear, I do apologize. But wait until I tell you what happened. This pair made utter fools of themselves. What happened? As you know, I have a penchant for disguise, and I was hiding in this room dressed as a bailiff. But those dolts didn't notice my presence at all. They had no idea. Yes, you are lawful gorgeous, Celine. Be like no thought head empty, yeah. Can you imagine, Iris? Would you credit it? I'm not sure, really. I beg your pardon? I'm sorry, Hurley, but you just don't have the weighty presence you seem to think you have. I don't know why I'm gasping there. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's going to land you in trouble one day. Oh yeah, I almost missed what Jess said. Yep, Skunktober's coming up. I don't usually do themed months, except for October I do is Frogtober, though I may not do Frogtober this year. I might be doing something beautiful. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's going to land you in trouble one day. I'll be careful. Ouch. Anyway, it's such a shame. I was hoping to throw a party for Ginny tonight, but you won't be able to come, will you? Don't look like I'm going to be going nowhere for a while. You're the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offenses. What was again? Breaking and entering, taking the bog, trying to stuff what was in the lug, blah blah blah. Yes, I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket is the main offense. But diving ain't an offense, it's a job, innit? I don't think so. I don't think so, Tim. Still, it has got me thinking all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did you, Otto? Well, no, but I was never a pickpocket. You were a stowaway, though. Well, anyway, I reckon I can make a change. I'm gonna do something for all them lot like me all across the slums. Something that makes a difference for them. It's a wonderful idea, Ginny, and I'm sure you can do it. What is it? Nothing. Miss Gina Lestrade. The prison carriage has arrived, ma'am. Come with me to the rear gate at once. Right. Well, looks like I'm off then. Yeah. Goodbye, Gina. And good luck. Coin knuckling must have been finicky to animate, yeah. Whoops. Odo? Yeah? Ah! What was that for? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, so... Ah, indeed. Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Miss Lestrade. Eh? On occasions such as this, I would recommend a simple thank you. Do you really want to type the word knuckling into Urban Dictionary? No, you don't. Oh. Oh, yes. It's good advice, Ginny. Right. I see. Well... Thanks, Odo. Thank you for everything, what you've done. For believing in me. Played Mass Effect, and I've started the first game a long time ago and played like the first hour of it. Would she shoot? She has one of Iris's, like, smoke launching guns. So she shot like a smoke grenade at Ryunosuke. Not at all. In fact, that should be my line. Thank you, Gina. Well, there she goes. I wonder if I'll ever see her again. Well, quite the indomitable pick purse. Oh, I nearly forgot. I bought a paper outside. It's a special edition, and this trial is all over the front page. Pickpocket's innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful? You should have shown it to Gina, Iris. She would have been thrilled. You have a message cross on Garrus? That's understandable. Oh no, how silly of me. But anyway, would you like the good news or the bad news? Not again. Well, what do you say, Runo? Hurley? As usual, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news. And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it? Let's not go there. Alright then, maybe let's start with the good news this time. The rain has finally stopped. It was a record level of rainfall, apparently. Well, that's good news indeed. We can journey back in greater comfort. Alright then, what's the bad news? The huge storm left the seas very choppy. The channel in particular is awful, so sailings out of the Dover have been delayed by a day or more. Wait, Dover? Yes, Ben Dover. That's right, if we head to the station immediately, we may still make it in time to wave Susie off. But... there won't be a train, surely. We couldn't be that lucky. Who do you think I am, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Sholmes? It's Susie, not Sussy. No. I rushed to Victoria Station earlier and made arrangements for a special express. If we hurry now, we shall be there in time for dinner. And I know of a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole. I don't... The great detective does it again. Indeed he does. I happen to be aware of a number of rail transports director... I happen to be aware of a number of the rail transport director's foibles. What? I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily laid low on the locomotive. Elementary. Just an idea, but it might be wise to stop manipulating people that way. What are we waiting for, then? To London, Victoria. I cut myself off there. 18th April, 5:32 a.m. Port of Dover. Quayside. It took somewhat longer than I anticipated, but that took 12 hours. It was 5 p.m. Susie's boat must be about to leave now. Mrs. Sato, where are you? Over there, look. Looks like she's reading something.
Hold it!
Mrs. Sato, wait, what are you doing? Mr. Naruhodo, What are you doing here? We came as soon as we could after the trial. I mean, we heard that sailings were being delayed due to the bad weather, you see. Oh, I see. Where's Sasato instead of where's Waldo? Then tell me, how did Gina's trial go? It went well. She was acquitted. That's wonderful. Really wonderful news. She's reading the Bible Minecraft edition. No. The book you were about to throw in the sea. It was your encyclopedia of British law, wasn't it? Oh dear. I was hoping you hadn't seen that. I'm not worthy of practicing law in any way now. So, I was saying my final farewell. You were saying goodbye to law. You? Sasato-san? Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the peephole, Miss Sasato? I deliberately altered the scene of a crime, and then I tried to hide the fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable. That reminds me. Whoops. How did you even come to have this, Susie? On the evening of the incident, Mr. Sholmes had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember. Oh yes, we had a wonderful time. Well, Gina gave us a little introductory lesson, didn't she? To the art of pickpocketing, I mean. Oh, that was so much fun. I stole Runo's armband. Yes, please don't do that again, Iris. That band's very important to me. Well, if it's so important, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't notice for ages. On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cat flapomat, so I put it up my sleeve. Really? And then I rather forgot about it until I found myself in Mr. Windybank's shop with it later that night. I see. And then... Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo. Right. After Mr. Naruhodo had left the shop, I started to think. That door started to play on my mind. The storeroom door, you mean? Yes. If Gina was anywhere in the shop, I realized it could only be behind that door. And at that moment, the little device that I had up my sleeve sprang to mind. Yes, Susie was about to eat the book. I was so worried about Gina. I simply had to know. So you used the cat flapomat to make the peephole in the door. As captured in a photographic print of the shop. By one of Hurley's red-handed recorders. Indeed, it was the first of importance at that point. Precisely when the peephole was made. That information would prove to be not Mr. Naruhodo's greatest weapon. Though naturally without proof, it would have amounted to nothing. But when I looked through the hole in the door, the sight that met my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remembered that trial 2 months earlier. The trial of Magnus McGilded. I thought about how he had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then a terrible thought occurred to me. I have to pee. What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because from the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Windybank. Even though I was sure she would never have done such a thing. You were worried that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime? That's right. But then I realized it would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case. What do you mean? Wonder how many dead bodies did the Ace Attorney Protag see? I mean, usually one per case. Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to claim falsely to have witnessed it, there would have been a way to see beyond the door. Ah. For which, a peephole would have been the very thing. Only after the peephole I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime scene had been committed, of course. And the criminal would know that, so it wouldn't make any difference. But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, was it not? A trap? Is that why she did it? So, is that why you kept it a secret, Susie? You never mentioned that you made the peephole to anyone, not even to the police. It's terrible. You hope no one else has ever had to witness that type of thing. Yeah. I know, and I knew that at the time what I was doing was wrong. A criminal offense, even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. If Mr. Naruhodo was completely backed into a corner with no possible means of escape, the truth about the peephole could save him. That was my plan. She really does think of everything. But then, why didn't you just tell me everything before the trial began? My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. If she had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the whole escapade. Ah. You could have been disbarred if you had been seen to have knowingly tampered with a crime scene. So Mrs. Sato decided she'd shoulder the burden of responsibility alone. For your sake, for your sake, and Miss Lestrade's. Mrs. Sato. The truth is, when it happened, I did it because I'd lost a little of my faith in the law. Oh. I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime, but the moment I allowed myself to think that is the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant. What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Graydon is the one who lied in the witness stand, using that peephole as a way to implicate Gina. And besides, who the fuck is Graydon? That's what Sasato wouldn't know who Graydon is. If the peephole inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure she would have been acquitted in the end. Mrs. Sato, what you did saved Gina's life. Well, with your kind words, Mr. Naruhodo, you've saved me too, from my regrets. Well, we must all be thankful that Miss Lestrade's freedom has been assured. Yes, exactly. Although some of the loose ends in that trial will continue to play on my mind, I'm sure. But the revelation that the music box disc contained secret messages, Mr. Naruhodo. What a triumph to work out. I'm full of admiration. Well, actually, that argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was. Oh, it wasn't? There was a communications officer among the jury members, you see. A telegraph operator. And she said that the majority of the sounds on the disc were just meaningless tones. As one would expect, after all, we are talking about secret government communications. No doubt they were written in cipher to avoid being readily understood should they have been intercepted. In cipher? I see. So then we could never have hoped to understand the message anyway. Nonsense, my dear fellow. It's quite a zero-pipe problem, I assure you. Ah. So... What? Well, that can't be a real word, can it? How funny. Wait, Iris, what did you just say? Oh, I just said asogi. What? Okay. Alright, you too, Jess. Thank you for coming by, you silly skunky. Have a good night, nerd. Does that word mean something to you? Means something. Asogi was the name of my best friend. What? But how? How do you know that name, Iris? I wrote it down during the trial before, when the message was playing on the music box. She transcribed it on the fly? She really is a genius. I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. But whatever I tried, the words just didn't seem to make any sense. That is, in English at least. Oh! It suddenly occurred to me, you see. There's more than one Morse code, not just the English variety. Various countries around the world have altered and added to Morse code to use it to their own languages. I don't believe it. Are you saying... That's right. I've only actually seen a chart of Japanese Morse code once before, but I think it's based on the Iroha pangram, isn't it? Iroha, excuse me. And you mean to say that in Japanese Morse code the message says Asogi? Yes, I think so. Sorry, but I don't remember all of the Japanese Morse code. Iris, would you let me see that? Mrs. Sato, do you know it? Do you know Japanese Morse code? Yes, I spent some time studying it, because I'm quite sure Morse code will become ever more important for international communications. Then might I recommend, my dear madam, that you focus your efforts on the English version? Be that as it may, Iris, show me the message, please. Of course. But what could that possibly mean? Whatever is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dashes and dots. It's made the color drain from Sasato-san's face. There's no doubt about this message. This message is written in Japanese Morse code. So the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications? Morse telegraphy debuted in 1844. That would make sense. This is in 1890s. I don't know what year exactly, but it's the 1890s. It's some point during this decade. I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names. 4 names. The first is Kei Asogi. Kazuma Asogi. Why? Why was his name on that disc? The second is A. Shin. Shin. I don't recognize that name. The third is T. Gudegusen. So that's Gregson, written in katakana, probably. Gregson? It would seem Tobias Gregson is the third man on that list. And what's his name doing in a secret government communication as well? And the last name, it's either going to be Susato or it's going to be Naruhodo. What's the matter, Mrs. Sato? It's just so strange. So unexpected. What is it, Susie? Don't keep us in suspense. Or it's gonna be Holmes. The last name is J. Wilson. Oh. James Wilson from the first case. Iris's father. What? Wilson? John H. Wilson? You mean Daddy? She doesn't realize he's dead. Oh no. It says only J. Wilson, so I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then, after the 4 names, it reads, if I translate from Japanese, that is all 4. And that's the end of the message, or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris. I just can't believe it. Who would ever have thought that those discs contain Japanese Morse code? Not to mention a strange list of some disturbingly familiar names. So who's Shin? Who's A. Shin? It would appear this particular message is a communication of some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan. So Daddy could be in Japan then, where Susie and Runo come from. Oh, well... no. It's not very likely, really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson, and there must be lots of J's among them. Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. Daddy. But we can't tell Iris about that now. We just can't. This is so strange. Somehow, in solving the case of Mr. Windybank's murder today... Oh my god, what if Asogi's murder was not an accident? What if Pavlova actually was like some sort of spy and was supposed to kill him? Holy shit. That would be a hell of a plot twist. Like, and I bet once and maybe once they got to port, like Beef like took her away and saved her. Just like the victim, the person who committed the crime in the first trial, we don't know what happened to them. They apparently got off scot-free. Maybe they're all assassins. Gregson and Shin. Somehow in solving the case of Mr. Windybank's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back a boulder at the mouth of a very dark cave. Holy shit. I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside. Holy hell, this is good. Oh dear. The ship is going to set sail soon. Yes, it seems so. I'll sail on that steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change onto a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan. You really going then, Susie? We wish you a safe passage, Mrs. Sato. Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best. Mrs. Sato, I'd hoped to have you always at my side, to guide and support me. Mr. Naruhodo, please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world. I'm quite sure. I'll be back before you know it. Really, Susie? Oh, now don't forget, Iris, I made you a promise I've yet to fulfill. A promise? About your manuscript. Ah! Oh yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles. Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? Do you remember the first time we met? Yes, of course. On the SS Burya, when I was dragged out from that wardrobe, still half asleep. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cabin with the Susato takedown. You know very well that I'm talking about after that. Actually, no, I met you in court on the first time I was in trial. You were there, you just didn't say anything. It's strange, but being thrown together as we were in that case, I somehow fell straight away. And you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy, Mrs. Sato. And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that... I'll be back soon. Farewell until then.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least. Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey. Fate led me to becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead.
Yeah, the cat.
Of course there will.
The cat's there too.
But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around. After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
Yeah, it stops there. That's the end of the first game. Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, Mr. Sholmes, can we wrap this up? The guy playing this has to go to the bathroom. I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue over the Special Express train, apparently. Huh? Oh, here we go. This is the classic Ace Attorney finish. It caused such a commotion on the line, all the other trains had to wait at stations. But really, we would never have made it to Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I explained everything, and how it was all your fault. Huh? Huh? I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. But not to worry, my dear fellow. According to Mrs. Soto, you love defending yourself in court. Huh? 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 It's alright, I'm perfectly happy to testify. He really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See? Mr. Sholmes. Yes? A word, if you don't mind. Why, certainly, any word you'd like. Bellow it out, my dear fellow. Oh yes, I love Bruno's words, and I know just the one he'll use here. Then, I really must say...
Objection!
This was really good. That hook at the end really makes me want to play the rest, but I absolutely cannot dive into the entire second game now after streaming this for 4 weeks straight. This is pretty much all I streamed for most of August. Like, I did like 2 other streams of other stuff, and then the Lego stream, and that's it. Oh, whoops. I completely missed this. So I advertised the case for use. Something about the money I've earned. Consulting detective work pays a pittance by comparison. I'll have to go back and read that later. I forgot the characters always speak during the credits. I haven't slept a wink. This manuscript is due tomorrow now. When I'm this busy, Hurley usually cooks me breakfast. Well, cooks is an overstatement. For some dry toast and insipid coffee. I do miss Susie and her lovely Japanese breakfasts. Does this mean more Twowie? Not yet. I'm trying to approach these games one after another here, and I think that I'm going to be limited on stuff. Witness your testimony. It's riddled with contradictions. Exactly. Rarely do rare Koban coins hide under rare stakes themselves. Well, I don't know, sir. Knows as fair there's an innocent man. Or are you calling my son a liar? Witnesses, my court is no place for your petty arguments. I think Twowie I might save, honestly. Hosonaga, where is he? Having delivered the Russian dancer to shore in Shanghai, I laid low on the steamship for a while. But last night I apprehended an extremely suspicious Japanese national on board. I've done nothing wrong. All I did was give Wagahai's offspring refuge in my pocket. A man brings some kittens on board and suddenly he's a hardened criminal. It's not fair! Scientific investigation will be the gold standard for policing in the new age. I dream of a world governed by the tenets of order and discipline. Like a great clock, in fact, whose hundreds of parts mesh together in perfect unison. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have but 2 minutes and 37 seconds until my next appointment. The latest Ranced magazine is out, and I'm in it again! Whenever I say that one line she wrote now, I get a standing ovation. Wanna hear it? Humph. Not bad, I suppose, for an amateur. Ah, her ladyship puts me to shame. Why was the government... See, now we got that big burning question. Why was the government sending out that notice about, those 4 people? Who's A. Shin? Been visiting the old girl on a daily basis, of course. Joni, my old jailbird. Must say, battling with those bally stairs every day has done wonders for this Dicky Peg. Managing rather well for the housework, too. Got this maid business taped up, I'd say. Hope the gossiping neighbors don't realize the man of the house is his own maid. Really do like Miss Bratt's breakdown. Hmm? Who? The girl at the beginning of the game? My Rolly is back on the beat again, all thanks to the Reaper. There's nothing I enjoy more these days than hunting out small change in the gutter. I'm a better Bobby now, looking out for Londoners. They drop their hay pennies on my lovely wife. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Yeah, the first, we never found out what her deal is either. Looks like I'm going to be doing time for a bit now. But Iris comes every day for a natter, so it ain't too boring. She's always going on about all them cases what Sholmes is looking into. Criminal investigations are kind of interesting when you get into them. Yeah, the perpetrator of the first case, we still don't know what her deal is. She was supposedly brought to Shanghai and then not tried and made go free, so I'm assuming she'll show up in the sequel. Yes, I renounced my upbringing and chose a life of sophisticated crime. But regrets, please. Give over, bruv. This ain't the Nash we used to know. We got time in here to plan the comeback of Milverton and Slocum's Milk Run, right? The Three Musket Whatsits. Milking the neighborhood for all it's worth. You don't usually see the bad guys get the post-credits, or credits, speeches. I wonder if we'll see Pavlova. I really hope we see Pavlova. She's like the last person who deserved that. This past 6 months has been a time I shall remember forevermore. Painful goodbyes and wonderful encounters. I've come to realize that's what life is all about. Naruhodo-san, I promise, your assistant will return to you one day. But for now, I leave you with many memories and a heartfelt wish that life will treat you well. Nice. Objection! Voice actors. Mark Oda, never heard of him. Bradley Clarkson, Rina Takasaki. I think a lot of these people are not American. Ouchie, Nigel Pilkington. Like, is he related to Carl Pilkington? Yeah, all of these names are foreign to me. That woman right there. We don't know what happened. We're still wondering where she is, what her deal is. I have a feeling she's going to show up again. Tosanaga. It's interesting, like, the two crewmen didn't get any post-credit, or didn't get any credit stuff. Nor did Pavlova, who's not here. Where is she? I feel so bad, like, Pavlova's, like, got the shortest end of the stick in this entire series. Entire game. She got fucked pretty hard. And Asogi stops there because that's where Case 2 ends. Oh, there she is. I like this. It's nice imagery going on here. That walk cycle's a little awkward, though. They're strong fart, Fongstrart, strong heart, and there's Holmes. No, Cosmo stood behind. He, like, stood where he died. They were just like, look, we made all these character models. Can you just admire them for a little bit longer here? Let's put them all in quick succession. Janet Sue, she has been working for Capcom a very long time. She did scripting and translation on the very first Ace Attorney game, which at this point, when did that first one come out? 2000, when the DS came out, so like 2005. So she's been working at Capcom at least 16 years, if not longer. Pretty impressive. I don't think the end more is happening tonight, unfortunately. But I will do the last two escapades. Oh look, they did their research. They had help with the research foundation. That's cool. Good stuff. Good stuff. Very stylish from start to finish. Fleeting farewell awarded. Oh, I like the coat. I'm not done yet. No, we're not done streaming yet. Don't say let's raid someone. Anything post credits, or are we going straight to the end here? Yep, no, we're at the end. So that's just, yeah, there's no saving. It's just an autosave. Alright, cool. So, that's the first game down. I know that unlocks something. There's something in the gallery, which, by the way, there's a ton of shit in here. Not only is there a bunch of art, but each piece of art has, like, entire, like, look at this. It has, like, multiple text boxes. That said, from the vaults, what is it? Yeah, special... commemorative. It's just this. Brothers and ambitious dreams. Since there were already commemorative group pictures at the end of each game, I sought to avoid the same themes and motifs in these pictures. Also didn't want to take them away from the good vibes after finishing each title, so I gave it a lot of thought. And I settled using just Ryunosuke and Cosmo, as the two of them are the embodiment of the great Ace Attorney. The illustration tells of hope and ambition in their hearts just before they set sail for Great Britain. Standing shoulder to shoulder, they're turned towards the same future at the start of their journey. Looking at this after experiencing the events and adventures, it's like going back in time, and it's sure to stir up all sorts of emotions. I drew a similar pictures once for the Adventures art book, but as this piece was going to be used in game, I made it more like a snapshot of something that might have happened in the story itself. Yeah, there is just an absolute shit ton of art. Some of this stuff is very spoilery from the vault sections. Not only that, but they have all of the like special promotional videos complete with subs for them. Special Trial, Great Special Trial, the 7 Days of Sin, which I have no idea what this shit is all about. I am not watching those on stream. Then you also have all the music in the game from both, as well as a bunch of unused songs too. This collection really goes all out. Voice clips, stuff like that, all fun stuff. Yeah, accolades. We got it. Fleeting Farewell. Chapter completion of episode 5 of A Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Welcome to the Great Ace Attorney Abridged. Any idea when Game 2 will drop? I'm just not up for playing them right now. I will aim to do it before the end of this year. That's all I'm going to say. And it is a doozy. I have seen a little bit of how 2 starts, and it's very interesting. I will say 2 starts in a... Yeah, this is a collection. This is both of them. This is the entire Great Ace Attorney story. So we got... The next one's The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney, which, as you can see, the Japanese court's in the middle there. But yeah, Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve will happen at some point. Just not right now, because I've been playing this non-stop for about 4 weeks. And I could definitely give my throat a break here. Especially since I got auditions coming up soon again. Coffee, tea, or wine. Anyway, we still have 2 escapades left to go through, and these take about like 10-20 minutes each, so I'm gonna do them now and get this done. So we're done, so it's over. On Briar Road, a chilling escapade about a shilling's escape from the clutches of Rolly and Pat beat, but only just found it on the street. Gina the pickpocket is the obvious suspect, but Ryunosuke, Sholmes, and Iris happen to be passing by, and the plot quickly thickens. So the reason I saved these 2 for now is because this one takes place after the last case, in terms of the date. 30th April, 12:20 p.m. So it's about 2 weeks later. Briar Road. Sir, Constable Rolly Beat reporting for duty. Thanks to the good offices of Lord Van Zeeks, I'm back on my beat here in the capital, doing my best for the good citizens of London, sir. My Rolly, back in his Bobby's uniform. You couldn't look any more handsome if you tried. Wait, how in the hell is Van Zeeks not drunk? Well, he doesn't drink most of that wine, he throws it out. Oh, my love, you say the sweetest things. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. To us, Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper of the Bailey at all. Oh no, of course not. He's the patron saint of Bobby's. The patron saint? Oh yes, Pat, you're so right, my darling. Keeping us in his pocket, he is. On my first day back on the job, what did I find in the gutter? A shilling, my love, a whole shilling. Oh, Rolly, I always believed in you. I always knew one day you'd find some big, small change. With just that shilling, I could buy you a cheap bunch containing a single flower, my sugar. A single flower? Oh, how romantic. She's got low standards, at least. Give her that. But I'm so sorry, Pat. Only moments ago, that shilling disappeared. It disappeared? But how, my love? How? I think maybe. No, I'm sure. It was this girl here, sir. You swiped my precious shilling, didn't you, you cheeky little diver? Blimey. You took your time getting round to me, didn't ya? Thought that lovey-dovey stuff weren't ever gonna end. So, a shilling, you'd say? Lifted from your word? Don't know nothing about that. Where's the evidence, eh? Right there. The evidence is dancing around the back of your hand, young lady. You stole it from me. You lifted it from my pocket just now. You've got nerve stealing from a bobby. Cobblers, the coin's mine. How could you know anyway? How could you know if it was taken just now or not? Dear me, you don't get it, do ya? We've hardly got a penny to our name, so that coin felt as heavy to me as a bar of gold. Eh? I'm telling you, the moment it left my pocket, I knew. I felt myself get a few good pounds lighter. To be honest, I love Rolly. He's nice. Hat's cute, too. Ah! Yup, that coin's got my blood, sweat, and tears all over it. What's the matter with you, eh, Mr. Naruto? Huh? Me? Sorry? When a lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be there to help, straight away, not an hour later. This isn't my fault, I haven't stolen anything. And what about you, eh, Sholmes? Thought you were supposed to be the great detective. Dear me, Miss Lestrade. You took your time getting around to me, didn't you? I thought that long dispute was never going to end, ha? You only said give us a minute when you spotted you over the road and said hello. And that was 10 minutes ago, Ginny. You've just been standing there the entire time listening to you quarrel with this Bobby. Do beg your pardon, ma'am. We shouldn't be troubling the public with police business. But that shilling belongs to us, doesn't it, Rolly? Of course it does, my love. It's just for you and me, my darling. This was just supposed to be a nice stroll with Iris and Mr. Sholmes before afternoon tea. Why did we have to run into another fiasco on Briar Road? I don't really see how we could be of any help, Gina. There's no way of knowing who the coin really belongs to if it was just dropped in the gutter. I wouldn't be so sure of that, Runo. I invented a new device that'll find the friggin', like, I don't know, microscopic germ cells on there that belong to some douchebag. What? I have a feeling I might know the answer to the question of whose coin that is. Ah, my bright young fellow lodger. Let us hear your deduction. Well, there's actually a reason why I suggested a stroll down Briar Road. Oh, what reason? You see, I was here yesterday and, well, I dropped a little something, so I wanted to come and look for it, while enjoying an afternoon stroll. Wait, you dropped something? You don't mean... It was the pocket money that Hurley gave me. What's this, Iris? You dropped that, did you? I'm sorry. I went to the market on Lime Street yesterday to pick up some herbs, you see. But on the way, I must have dropped it. The 1 shilling coin you gave me. Oh. Ah, a 1 bob bit. Yes, and when I thought back over the route I took, I realized I must have dropped it here. Constable, you haven't seen it, have you? It's all my pocket money, and now it's gone. You have more money than you know what to do with from all your manuscripts. Well, I'm afraid I don't know anything about that, young lady. What rotten luck dropping your money like that. Sorry. I dare say the constable and his companion could give you a run for your money with their right eyes. If it's all the same to you, Mr. Sholmes, I think I'd prefer not to be used as a yardstick for looking guilty. Well, it's tough, really, ain't it, Iris? You dropped it, so it ain't yours no more. Anyway, you know what they say. What goes around comes around, so don't feel bad. Bad luck, Iris. It doesn't look like you're going to get your coin back. Oh, I can't believe I've lost it. And straight after Hurley gave it to me as well. Yes, regrettable indeed. I seem to recall that particular coin was rather significant. What do you mean, significant? To be specific, it was especially significant to you, Runo. Significant to me? Ah, you don't mean... It was the coin from last night's wager? Very same, my dear fellow. What's this, then? What wager? It was a game of poker. A duel between Hurley and Runo. Poker? What, that tricky card game, you mean? As a lawyer, I have the perfect poker face. You'll never be able to tell what I'm thinking, he said. But depriving Mr. Naruhodo of his entire fortune is even easier than finding that missing thoroughbred. Plot test, it was Van Zeek's coin. Ah, it was so infuriating reliving it now. Still makes me grit my teeth. Sorry, Iris. I had every intention of paying you back the money I owe you, but you'll have to wait, I'm afraid. Yes, I know. Don't worry. Next month is fine. Let me guess, Odo. Your whole fortune. It was 1 whole shilling. My entire monthly stipend, and I lost all of it. As I handed it over to Mr. Sholmes, I gritted my teeth so hard my gums started to bleed. Please, Runo, don't exaggerate. That's a horrible image. Well, about a lawyer who borrows money from a 10-year-old girl. Now that's a horrible image. Why do I feel like my reputation with this couple is just falling through the floor? There are few things more invigorating than taking a man for all he's worth. Don't be so pleased with yourself, Hurley. It's not as if Runo ever had a chance of winning. Wait, what? What do you mean by that? Well, using that special ink I developed, anyone could. Thank you, Iris. That will do. I'm sure this conversation is proving very dull for everyone. What's done is done. The game is over now. There's no point crying over spilt milk. Special ink, you say? Well, that sounds like the sort of risky business that's up my alley. Oh, Roly, I love your dauntless spirit. You laugh in the face of danger. Come on then, Iris, spill it. What's this special ink about, eh? Ah, well, it's pizza time, 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 it's pizza time. Very happy Tobey Maguire's getting more work as Spider-Man. Very good. Iron Man Jr., gonna cry. Ah, well, it's what's sometimes called invisible ink. All you have to do is write the suit and the number on the reverse side of every card, and with the aid of some special glasses, the whole game is laid bare to you. Excuse me. Wait, you were wearing glasses last night, weren't you, Mr. Sholmes? You said something along the lines of, my eyesight appears to have suddenly worsened. And the moment you failed to question that as odd was the very moment I know I had won the game. Mind games, was it? Trying to throw me off with your eccentric ways? So you're telling me Sholmes could see every card what Odo had? What? But that's not mind games, that's blatant cheating! My dear fellow, what an accusation. Would you honestly consider me a cheat? Please, I prefer trickster. Whatever you call it, this game doesn't count now. Understand, Mr. Sholmes? Dear me. Well, out of respect to the bad grace of which you take defeat, allow me to return your shilling. Did you hear that, Gina? So give it here. Leave me out of this. This here 1 bob bit was mine from the start, no question. No, sir, that there 1 bob bit was lifted from this Bobby's pocket only a few minutes ago. So you keep saying. Come on then, where's the evidence? The law, right, is all about evidence. I know my stuff. You see, Mr. Naruhodo, use a trite excuse in court, and others will parrot it. Only whenever I do say that in court, it isn't a trite excuse, you know. As I said, sir, that coin has got my blood, sweat, and tears all over it. That's right, it has. Rolly's blood, sweat, and tears are all the evidence. Blood, you say? In that case, it's time. For this. Do you think... Well, if there's any trace of blood on that coin, we'll soon know about it. Alright, Ginny. Hold very still. Whoa. Ah! Look at that. See there on the coin? It's clearly changed color. In other words, there's blood on this coin. Oops, that's Sholmes. Once again, as I said, sir, that would be my blood, sweat, and tear. Oh, wait. I've seen blood turn that color before. Yes, I know whose it is. I know whose coin it is. What? The rightful owner of this blood-stained shilling is... Bruno. Huh? Me? And from the appearance of the blood, I would say it is quite fresh. Left within the last 24 hours. Oh, it's the blood from his teeth, his gums. Within the last... then in that case... So, this is the coin what Sholmes had off Odo last night in the poker game? Oh, Bruno, do you mean you really did make your gums bleed? I told you, I was so infuriated to lose, I had to grit my teeth as I handed over the money. Blimey, you're as odd up as me by the sound of it. But I thought you had a proper job. Come on, Gina, just hand it over, would you? The shilling, that's rightfully mine. Fine, alright then. Just stop your bleeding staring. I finally have it back. It's like a dream come true. So glad I lifted it from a poor Bobby and a poor diver while I have an actual job. Maybe add that one in the bag and all. It's wonderful news, Runo. I'm so happy for you. Now then, as you promised... I'd like my money back, please. This shilling I lent you before. Ah. You did say that you pay it back out of this month's pocket money, didn't you? Oh, yeah. Well then, I suppose. My dear fellow, do be kind to your gums. Looks like that shilling was always destined to be taken from you, sir. For some reason, the phrase serves you right is floating around in my head. So, Iris, as promised, here is the shilling I owe you. Oh, you're repaying me already? Well, thank you. Next month would have been fine, though. What's it all about, anyway? What do you lend an Odo money for? Ah, yes, well, actually, it's because I went to the Lime Street Market yesterday to buy herbs. For Runo? Herbs for Odo? Yes, the tea Mrs. Sada left behind is top-quality Gyokuro tea, but it's just so bitter. So when Iris suggested mixing it with some herbs to make it more palatable, I asked her to buy me some. That's right, we made a special Japanese herbal tea with the leftover Gyokuro. Iris, these brownies ain't shit. Ugh. I'm going to call it Susie's Special Blend. I do hope you'll all try it. The excruciating bitterness clings to the throat. If you could persuade the bright green gloop to leave the cup. Why, it sounds quite delicious. Yeah, right. Why are there two Van Zeeks? What? There's not. Well, it would appear the shilling's brief adventures are now at an end. Adventures? You must agree, my dear fellow, that the coin has made a considerable journey since last night. Let's see, originally it was the coin I was supposed to give to Iris to pay her for the herbs, but then in our poker duel last night it passed to you, Mr. Sholmes, who gave it to Iris to spend the money, but then I dropped it here sometime yesterday, then my beloved Rolly found it a little while ago and picked it up, before it was lifted from my pocket by this here diver. I then used my favorite gun to show up the blood that was on it, and let it slip about Sholmes' little scam in his card game last night. The annulment of which resulted in the coin returning to ownership of Mr. Naruhodo, allowing me to pay Iris the money I owed her after all, for the herbs she'd bought in order to make Susie's Special Blend tea. And now, after all that, the coin is resting safely in my pocket. Coin is a witness to the next case. Yeah, you're right, that was an adventure. But what are we supposed to take away from it, eh? This 1 shilling coin belongs to Iris and Iris alone, I think. I cannot fault your observation, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm slurring now. Well, you know what they say. What goes around comes around. Why do I get the feeling that Iris knew it was coming around to her from the very beginning? Priceless, as they say. Well then, my dear fellow, how about this evening we indulge in some bitter tea and a bitter rematch? I'll even allow you to stake the coming month's spending money in advance. I fold. I'm going to cheat you out of your money, which is only $1 a month, apparently. Mr. Naruhodo, it was just a prank! In the Bailey, this escapade takes place in the Old Bailey courtroom where the defendant is none other than Sholmes himself, and the charge is a most mysterious murder. Ryunosuke naturally advocates for the defense against the unflappable Reaper, Lord Van Zeeks, but Sholmes' testimony calls the true culprit of the crime into question. So here we go, this is the last one. Once we read this, we are done with Great Ace Attorney Adventures. I can put this to rest for a good while. Date unknown. The Old Bailey. Courtroom. There's only one courtroom in the Old Bailey. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. This is a most extraordinary case of murder. Counsels, I assume you may proceed? Yes, my lord. The defense is ready. At your discretion, my lord. Very well. I hereby call upon the prosecution to introduce the case. The incident in question took place 2 days ago, late at night, when the ground was blanketed with snow. The location of the incident was the residence of the accused, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Indeed, the now famous address of number 221B Baker Street, was it? The address may have enjoyed fame once, my lord, but will henceforth endure infamy for this grim crime. Yes, sir. Well put. The victim, a certain Madame Rosie, was found asphyxiated on the accused sofa. My word.
Objection!
But it's unclear as to whether the victim was actually killed in the defendant's suite or not. After all, when Mr. Sholmes left the room for only a brief moment, Madame Rosie was somehow vanished herself out of the room completely. Vanished herself, counsel? The victim? Quite true, my lord. There's one adjoining door between my drawing room and the kitchen. Yet having brewed some tea in the kitchen, I returned to find the room completely empty. There was nobody else present. Ordinarily, my fellow lodger Iris would have been at home. However, on the day in question, she had been invited to a meeting of scientific society in the city. I'm afraid you have a propensity for exaggeration, sir. You claim the victim vanished herself, but really, it seems to me entirely plausible that she chose to leave via the main entrance to your suite. As it happens, my lord, the door to the accused's room was locked at the time, from the inside. Very true, Inspector. As such, I could say with considerable surety that the victim did not leave via my front door. But what about, yes! She could have snuck out through a window.
Objection!
The windows in the room were not locked, it's true, and the victim had the opportunity. However, there was snow all around the building outside, and not a patch of it had been disturbed. This is obviously beforehand. This is non-canon, obviously, but if it's snowing, then it's probably back in February or March. Would my learned friend care to explain how the victim could have left without leaving a trail? So the victim, Madame Rosie, somehow vanished from the scene before she was killed. Naturally, I was alarmed by the sudden disappearance of my guest. So I summoned this gentleman, who resides in the attic above my own, and we took a cab to Scotland Yard. I can confirm the defendant called for me, and I saw his suite on my way downstairs. And yes, I'm quite sure it was empty, just as Mr. Sholmes has said. When I reached the yard, this very detective happened to be there. Wait, where are the juries? There aren't any. There's nothing to present here. Ah, well, yes, you see, I was just in my office for a while, having gotten back from some, important business. And then, having explained the situation to the inspector, we traveled back to Baker Street together. All that time, there were no footprints in the snow around the building other than the ones we'd made. Do I take it then, counsel, that you personally witnessed the scene where the incident took place? No, my lord. I went straight up to bed in my own room in the attic. Inspector Gregson, however, was met with the most blood-curdling sight. On Mr. Sholmes' sofa, the vanished Madame Rosie, motionless. So the victim was already dead when you discovered her, Inspector? No, my lord, not dead, but not far off it. She mustered all her remaining strength to say these dying words. That Rada Sholmes will be the death of me. Ah, yes, I overheard that remark at the time, too, delivered in a rasping voice, full of malice. No! Those words indeed proved to be her last. The victim expired moments later, there on the sofa. What's the twist here? The cause of death was identified as damage to the respiratory tract as a result of strangulation. Pray, does the accused dare to contest the inspector's account? Certainly not. In fact, the inspector has done an unusually fine job of summarizing the salient points. Sholmes will be the death of me. Damning departing words indeed. In her final moments, the victim named her killer. You, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Objection!
But the defendant had no reason to take the victim's life. Perhaps you could tell the court, Mr. Sholmes, who exactly this Madame Rosie was. Ah, yes, of course. Did I never mention her to you? I'd extend an invitation to her that evening, though she is loquacious in the extreme. The most trivial of matters quickly becomes a quarrel. I was only too pleased to leave her presence to make tea. Great. It would appear then that the accused did in fact have a motive for silencing his heuristic guest. Permanent.
Objection!
Putting that tenuous motive aside, what about the other mysteries surrounding the case? I'm inclined to agree with the defense. There remain a number of inscrutable details. The victim's alleged disappearance and the subsequent reappearance, leaving no trail of footprints, for example. That's right, the crime scene described by the prosecution could never have happened. Yet the victim remained the accused at her dying breath. It seems to me that my learned friend has overlooked a significant detail here. Nonsense, what have I overlooked? The man in the dock, the so-called great detective, all too frequently makes the following bold claim. There is no crime beyond the realms of possibility, no mystery beyond my powers of reasoning. So, Mr. Sholmes, you will have no difficulty in explaining how the crime thus described could have taken place. Therefore, I propose a toast to the great detective upholding his name. But of course, were I to put my mind to the matter, the crime would immediately appear to all too present to be entirely feasible. Please, Mr. Sholmes, whose side are you on here? All you need to say is, no, even I can't think of a way a crime like that could have been committed. Let the accused's admission be noted by the court. Though the crime may appear impossible for us mortals of inferior mental capacity. The crime may appear impossible to us mortals of inferior mental capacity. This man alone claims to know exactly how it was done.
Hold it!
Now hold on. This is a very fragile argument. Thank you, counsels. I believe I've heard more than enough to proceed to my adjudication. The accused's great detective did in some inscrutable manner willfully murder the victim, Madame Rosie. I therefore find the defendant... Oh shit. Let this man be taken from this courtroom and in some equally inscrutable manner be sanctioned for his crimes. Court is adjourned.
Hold it!
My lord, please. The truth about the mystery surrounding this case are known to another besides the great detective. What's this? Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you are coming along wonderfully. You've deduced a fundamental truth about this case, I believe. Which would be, detective. The truth of this case is known only to the true culprit, obviously. Is that not so, Gregson? What? Well, I suppose, yes. You don't mean... Are you suggesting, Mr. Sholmes, that you have an idea as to what actually happened that night? An idea, my dear fellow? I could explain the entire incident from start to finish without a single detail admitted.
Objection!
It seems the detective has failed to grasp the situation. Pray, Mr. Reaper, which of us truly failed to grasp the situation, I wonder? Then answer me this. You claim prior to the incident, the victim suddenly vanished without a trace from your room. If so, how exactly did Madame Rosie disappear? Why, naturally, via the window. It was ajar, after all. That can't be. The room is a whole story above street level. And anyway, no prints were found in the snow. There are any number of ways one could avoid leaving tracks in the snow, surely. Such as flying, for instance. A fatuous notion. And to where do you propose the victim flew, Mr. Sholmes? Is it not entirely plain? To the culprit's abode, of course. For, having left my suite, that is clearly where Madame Rosie was murdered. Take a moment to consider the cruel irony, if you will. By her own volition, she flew directly to her death.
Objection!
Do you forget, detective? The victim's corpse was discovered on your own sofa. No doubt because her killer carried her back there. But what about the lack of footprints in the snow again, then, huh? There just weren't any. Other than our own from when we returned home ourselves. If by our footprints you're referring to your own and mine, you are quite right. But there were those of another. On the night in question, there was one other person who could have conveyed the victim to my sofa. What? Good gracious, to whom do you refer, sir? Yeah, you're missing a non-canon trial. A man whose somewhat unavailing presence at the scene of the crime would be questioned by no one. Unavailing? You don't mean... Indeed I do. A man who hastened to the scene directly upon learning of the incident at Scotland Yard. Namely... you, Inspector Gregson. When you arrived at my address on Baker Street, you were carrying the half-dead Madame Rosie with you. You waited for a suitable opportunity and then laid the victim on my sofa. You did what?
Objection!
But we were with the inspector when he arrived. How could he possibly have been carrying the victim? We would have noticed. My dear fellow, a most obvious answer presents itself, does it not? The inspector is rarely, if ever, without his overcoat. The victim was simply conveyed in one of his many pockets. I fail to see what makes this detective great, but I can say one thing with great certainty. A human body cannot fit into the pocket of an overcoat. I believe we may have all fallen foul of a rather significant misapprehension. What? Madame Rosie was not a human. I beg your pardon? Mr. Sholmes. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, something troubles you, perhaps? Whatever gives you that idea? Exactly what sort of creature was Madame Rosie? Is it not apparent already? A parakeet, of course! Are you kidding? This is the dead parrot sketch. Huh? A most self-conceited specimen, in fact. A parakeet? She was once an incessant talker, I must say. Her manner was quite intolerable at times. Wont to turn every conversation into a quarrel. I thought to strangle the creature on more than one occasion. You had a quarrel with a parakeet? But of course, why else would she have chosen to fly from my window so uncordially that evening? To the abode of the inspector here beside me, no less. To Inspector Gregson's abode? But why? Because that was the parakeet's home, naturally. What are you? The inspector was called away from town for some days, so it was arranged that I would look after the bird. But it would appear that she was overcome with a sudden yearning for her keeper, thus prompting her from flight from my comfortable suite to the inspector's office at Scotland Yard. Well, Gregson, I believe it's high time you explained. Give us your account of what happened that night, sparing no details, of course. Inspector Gregson? It was an accident. I got back from being away that evening, you see. I just walked through the door of my office. I never imagined Madame Rosie would be on her way back to the yard as well. I slammed the door shut behind me, just as she was trying to fly through it. So Madame Rosie... she got sandwiched between the door and the frame, and fell to the floor. Never to move again, because of me. Oh, that's really sad. This is the saddest death in the entire game. Well, no, I guess Cosmo's is sadder. Well, I had to do something, and just as I was trying to think of a plan, you fellas arrived talking about some incident at Baker Street. I had to hide Madame Rosie in a hurry, so I stuffed her in my coat pocket and got in the cab with the pair of you. What could possibly have motivated you to behave in such a manner, Inspector? Lord Strongheart, sir. What? Lord Strongheart? Please tell me I didn't hear that right. It was the Lord Chief Justice who asked me to look after the bird in the first place. She'd be living with the pigeons at the Supreme Court until then. But apparently the, other birds had started to pick on her. So for the past 6 months or so, I'd been caring for her in my office at the yard. I see. If anything happened to that bird, just imagine. No pay and no time off for the rest of my career. You mark my words, that's what's gonna happen. That's why well... Is west to the right or left? Left. We. Left, right. West, east. But the victim's dying words, Inspector. The court heard earlier that Madame Rosie spoke the name of her assailant on the deathbed. That rotter, Sholmes, will be the death of me. That's just what Gregson says all the time. Indeed she did. Quite uncalled for, wouldn't you agree? But those words are your true feelings, are they not, Inspector? Clearly you speak of me often at your office at the Yard in this disparaging manner. A manner that Mary Parakeet took much delight in mimicking. Well, come on. I mean, have you read this month's edition of Rant's magazine, eh? I'm... sorry. This is all absolutely true. This is the saddest court case of the entire series. Is that the wrong Lord Van Zieks? No. Nothing. I almost drifted off for a moment there. Oh, it was all a dream! It's hard not to drift off when you've been kept waiting 3 hours already. I wonder if I'll manage to meet with Lord Strongheart at all today. We may have to deliver the report on the Windy Bank case that he asked for on another day. Ah, so this is after the final case. Tell me, Inspector, what became of that bird? Ah, Madame Rosie, you mean? She had a narrow escape, but she's still alive. Yeah, it was all Van Ziek's dream. I delivered her back here not too long ago, actually, on Lord Strongheart's orders. She's okay. He's hoping the pigeons will accept her now. It was something of a shock to hear that she'd been crushed in the doorway of your office, especially as we were all under the misapprehension that Madame Rosie was a person. Sorry about that. It was Lord Strongheart. I did again, Lord Strongheart's. It was Lord Strongheart's demand that... Ah, good. You're here. I apologize for my tardiness. I'm exactly 3 hours, 24 minutes, and 57 seconds late. Oh, no, my lord. No. Please don't trouble yourself. Nothing gives us greater pleasure than standing here for hours on end, doing nothing. Heartening. So, let's hear it then. Your report. The Windy Bank trial is concluded, but this is far from over. It seems that dark Far Eastern lawyer and I have some shared destiny. We will meet again. Of that, I have no doubt. Did you see that, Lord Van Zieks, did you? Madame Rosie went flying off among the pigeons there. Happy as Larry she was. Really, Inspector? You must be relieved. Is that really how this ends? Yep, it is. It is indeed how that ends. Not bad. Not bad. Nice little side vignettes. All debatably canon. It's good. The second game does not have these. So it was just for this game. The second game has costumes. So Ryunosuke gets a homemade suit from Iris. Sasato also gets a homemade suit from Iris. Very steampunky. And Sholmes gets the Japanese jumble mix, which is kind of the opposite. So they get Western clothes, he gets Eastern clothes. And they're only for use in the Great Ace Attorney 2 for some reason. Don't know why. And there is a achievement to wear them, so at least one stream I will be wearing those. But yeah, we've cute on Sasato, yeah it is. So yeah, we've exhausted everything in the first game. Everything else from this point on is the second game, which again, I will do. Not right away, but it will happen at some point. We will definitely be moving on to Resolve. In Japan, Adventures came out in 2015 and Resolve came out in 2017, so thankfully it won't be that long of a wait for us. I'll try to work it in before the end of the year. Again, come mid-October to late to mid-November, there's not going to be much coming out that I'm getting, so I might get some catch-up done on some other streams. But for the time being, I need to put the Great Ace Attorney to rest here and give my throat a rest. Yeah, we finished. But yeah, this will return. It'll come back. I'll tell you what. I'll do this before Somnium Files 2 comes out, because that is going to be a day 1 stream. So I want to get this done before then. As for this week, I've said it many times, but tomorrow and the day after, I will not be streaming. Twitch is doing the blackout to combat the hate raids and stuff. So tomorrow I'll be recording something. 8 weeks, damn, we really lasted that long. No, that's not 8 weeks. It was like 4 or 5. It was a month. I started this at the end of last month. So, yeah, I'll record something offline tomorrow and upload it Wednesday evening. So you'll get 2 videos on Wednesday evening. This VOD and or Wednesday morning for this VOD, and then upload. When I come back Thursday, I'll see what I'm gonna do. This weekend I will be here. Friday I'll be here. I don't know if I'll be streaming Saturday, but Sunday is technically the day before my 5th stream anniversary. So last year I did it on the 5th. I might do it on the 5th this year as well. I'll see what I'm gonna do. I always stream a Mana game on my anniversary, and I believe the only 3 left I haven't played are the 2 DS games and Seiken Densetsu 4. So, Seiken Densetsu 4 is PS2. That might be hard to stream, but I might do one of the DS games, because apparently they're both pretty short. So, that'll be good to work in there now. Also, coming up... One second. Also coming up, No More Heroes 3 is going to happen at some point. WarioWare Get It Together. I'll be returning to Metroid next month to finish the marathon before Dread comes out. Fuga Melodies of Steel I'll go back to. World Ends With You will definitely happen. I don't know if it'll happen before October, but I'll go back to it and finish it. But yeah, we got a lot of streams coming up. And we've got some other assorted goodies too. But that's all for tonight, and that's all for the next couple days. Please check your Discord. Okay, no, I will. Don't worry. So that's it for tonight. If you want more streams, check out twitch.tv/team/wildabandon. Plenty of people streaming there right now. My auto host will take you to one once I go offline. You'll have a great evening. Do everyone a favor. Do all the marginalized streamers a favor. Stay off Twitch tomorrow night and stay off Twitch. Well, just stay off Twitch tomorrow. Stay off Twitch. If it's September 1st in your time zone, stay off Twitch. I'm going to be staying off Twitch. And I would hope you guys do too. So you all have a great night. And raid the Soxy? I tried raiding them last night and they weren't online. You didn't give me the right name for them. Are they even streaming right now? They are streaming. Just chatting, everyone's a demon. Free tarot card. Eh. Alright, why not? Let's go ahead. Alright, y'all have a great evening. I will see you Thursday. Check my YouTube channel on Wednesday evening, Eastern Standard Time, around like 10 p.m. or so, for whatever the hell I'm going to record tomorrow. I think I have an idea. It's going to be something I streamed already once this year, but it's going to be done a little differently. Have a good night, everyone.